Okay, welcome. Today we're going to show you a really very important video. This is one of the, we seem to go through stages. I think where last year it was like knee problems. This year it tends to be neck problems and thoracic pain, upper back area issues. So I'm going to show you a good video here of several of exercises we would look for to help you if you've currently got that sort of problems or pain at the moment, which can be very debilitating. So there's a lot of stuff that we would actually have to look at, but these are probably the common ones that we come across. So we've got Rosie and Nathan here, and we're going to go through in order, by the way. These are the exercises we would look at in order. So first thing we've got Rosie doing is she's going to do a breathing test. So I'm going to get her put both her hands on her forehead, and I'm going to hold the blood pressure cuff here. And what we're looking for is to see if Rosie can breathe correctly through her diaphragm, like a belly breath. So when she breathes in, we should see this needle rise up above, and then on the breath out it should descend. So what she just did then was a really nice breath, but commonly if she does like a poor one, if she breathes in, we'll see like only a small rise. That's still a good one. So do a bad one for me, Rosie. Do a poor breath. And that's commonly what we do see with someone with thoracic pain. Usually they have like a rib cage dysfunction. It's actually locking down on the system, and in some cases we see a breath in and the needle goes the wrong way. All right, so very, very bad. So before you do any other exercise, don't even waste your time. If your breathing is like that, you need to resolve your breathing. We've got other videos you can watch on that, or give me a call and we can put you onto some good stuff to help you with that. But that'll be step one. All right, now we're going to flip Rosie over. And we're going to use the little pull noodle foam roller here. We're going to pop this under her back. Now, there's lots of foam rollers, by the way. There's big blue ones, and they're good for rolling, but they're not good for like just holding a nice position of the spine, right? Because it has too much of a extension. You're actually going too far. This is just the right amount. So what we want Rosie to do is just holding that just under her shoulder blades. And in some cases I might get people to bend their knees, just stops them arching their back too much. All right, so it just brings them a bit more neutral. And then from here, what we want to see is her arms just gently sort of rising up above her head. And usually the person with a lot of pain will find this very, very difficult to do. If she was good enough to get both her hands together, she would, without my hands coming under her elbows, and we know Rosie actually currently has some neck and thoracic pain problems, so you see how I easily fit my hand in there. I'd want her elbows to straighten right out, and that's not exactly comfortable for her right now, so we won't force that. All right, but she can sort of bring her hands down slowly, and then using very slow breathing, help herself to try and reach up above her head like that. And that's how she would create like a nice gentle sort of stretch. And it shouldn't be gentle, like if you force it, you will just create tension, which defeats the purpose. All right, so that'll be breathing first, then this nice thoracic extension. And then the next thing we're going to use this blood pressure cuff again. Then we're going to pop this under her neck. Now, if you don't have a blood pressure cuff, it doesn't matter. You can just use a rolled up towel or something like that. For the breathing test, you can just put your hands on your belly to see if your belly is rising up and down. In this case, the blood pressure cuff just gives us a good sort of feedback mechanism. All right, so what we want to see is we've got the blood pressure cuff pumped up to 20 here. So put a bit of air in it. And we want to see if Rosie can make the blood pressure cuff rise up to about 30 when she pulls her chin in. So she's trying to pull her chin in to get pressure on the cuff. So if we get a picture of Rosie's neck here, so she'll be relaxed, and tongue on the roof of the mouth, and she'll hold that position there for about 5 to 10 seconds. And basically what we're doing is we're training these muscles in here, which are commonly very, very weak, overstretched from poor posture. Right, so that'll be our third exercise, and we're starting to see Rosie's already starting to work quite hard. All right, so now we're going to move on. We're going to go over to Nathan, who's already set himself up for the next exercise. This one this is a Feldenkrais exercise. This is an excellent exercise for mobilising movement of the shoulder and the spine, the head, the neck, everything. Right. So we're starting to move away from isolating things to now integrating. All right, which is how you move in real life. So Nathan's going to show us the Feldenkrais manoeuvre. And basically he's going to roll himself around with his head and his eyes guiding the movement. That's it. And basically we want him to have a nice fluid, smooth movement. We don't want to see these hips sort of lifting up. Alright, so we want it to be there. And this arm, when it comes out, ideally we'd love to have both shoulders on the ground, so we can sort of tell from this exercise that he's doing, he's quite tight through his pecs here. Alright, so we know we need to loosen through the chest for him. Alright, so that'll be our first exercise where we've mobilised him. Now we're going to try and train him for stability like we did with Rozzy in the neck flexor. So we're going to use the horse stance exercise, where he's on his hands and knees, and then he's going to go out, he's going to hold himself like that. This is training this shoulder that's on the ground to be very, very stable. In combination with the glute on the other side, he's going to be working very, very in a strong position. Abdominals are going to be switched on. If he starts to cave in through here, we know this shoulder's like weakened itself from the pushing action. So he has to really sort of lift up, push up into my hand. That position there without flexing over too much is what he needs. Right? So he's preparing himself for the pushing action, which for the person with neck pain, and that is the one that's the riskiest. Alright, so now we're going to go into a strength exercise, and Nathan's going to show us a lat pull down, where we're just working lower traps. And I'll show you in the video here, the lower traps sort of hovering around here. And what we need him to do is pull it down and then hold it. And we want him to hold it for 10 seconds. We really need the time to accumulate, and that's when you'll feel that these guys are sort of going to start to burn a little bit for him. And then he comes back up, has a nice little stretch from it, does it again. And this is sort of bringing the shoulder girdle back into that position, taking away a lot of the stress and the pressure through his neck there. Alright, so this is a strength version, so we've moved from breathing, mobilising, to stability, to strength. Now we're going to go to Rozzy, who's going to show us an integrated exercise using the football and using the action that's most likely to create her pain, which is the pushing action. This is the one where most people go to too early, or it's probably the one that hurt them in the first place. Alright, so Nathan's going to help Rozzy here get in position. So we're using like a bench press exercise here. We've got a TheraBand wrapped around her hands with the feeling of the bands trying to pull her arms back behind her so that it forces her serratus anterior muscle, the one that really needs to be on the go, and holds the shoulder girdle up like this. It's an upward rotator of the shoulder instead of downward rotator. We're forcing that muscle into action on this exercise. All right, so this is an excellent one to integrate at the end of your workout, which is excellent for a person with thoracic neck pain. Having said all that, there's like a hell of a lot of other exercises and tests and assessments you want to run. For the sake of this video, we wouldn't do all of them, but this just gives you a good idea how you would want to structure your training. So if you have a problem with your breathing, just stop there. Don't do any of the others until you get the breathing right. If you've got problems with the flexibility of your rib cage, stop there and don't do any more until you get that right. And just sort of work your way through. And then at the end game, before you get back into full training, you should be able to do that. If you do those things, you should be fine. Alright, so I hope this video helps you. Give us a yell if you at www.noregretspt.com.au.